All right, we're going to start whenever you're ready in a comfortable seat. And we're going to start out again just stretching the neck and the shoulder area kind of before we even start with the seated breath work. So just kind of working out any kinks there. So let's this time just start a little bit differently than last time. So drop your right ear down towards the right shoulder. And then take your hand over to the side, just applying a little gentle pressure. And you can take your other hand to the other side, just as like a counter stretch. So kind of reaching that way. Just nice and gentle. Sitting up tall, so you want to just make sure you're not kind of leaning over to the side. Just your head is moving over to the side. Taking a few deep breaths here. And then you can bring your chin down to your chest, other ear down over towards the other shoulder. Just apply some gentle pressure with your head as you reach the other arm out to the side as a counter stretch. And just kind of releasing any tension you might have in your neck, your shoulder area. That's where we carry a lot of stress and tension. And then from here, you can interlace your hands behind your back. Draw the shoulders down and back. Just sit up nice and tall. Really start to lengthen your breath here. So coming into your yoga breath, taking those long, deep inhales through the nose. Long, deep exhales out through your nose. You can release your hands, and we're just going to bring our hands behind our back. So lifting your chest forward, drop your head back, keeping the shoulders away from your ears. Good, and then slowly make your way up. All right, so we'll start here with just some seated breathing. So a comfortable position, so it can be cross-legged. If you want to bring kind of one foot in front of the other, that just helps open the hips a little bit, but really it's whatever's comfortable. And then closing your eyes or just softening your gaze, looking out at the water. Start to lengthen your breath. Using this time to really just start to become aware of your surroundings and to start to really become present. Letting go of anything that's weighing on your mind, all those busy thoughts, and just turning your attention back to your breath, back to being here now. And you can even use that as a little mantra. If you notice your mind starts to wander, just the simple words, be here now. Take a moment to just feel and embrace that strong wind that's cooling us off. The feeling of the sun setting, the sounds of the waves, the water. Embracing all of this whole outdoor experience for exactly what it is. It's part of the practice. And just set an intention before we start, or remind yourself of something you're working on or maybe a goal. And then from here, you can slowly open up your eyes. And we're going to set up for our first Yin Yoga pose. So we're going to set up a blanket, just as extra padding for your knees. So it's going to be starting out in a child's pose, and then we're going to add some variations for our upper body, our arms and shoulders. And you may not need the blanket. It's just kind of there as an option since we're holding the pose longer, just to make sure that, you know, your knee doesn't become sore. So you can focus on really the pose. So taking the knees out about the width of the mat, if that feels okay. Sitting back towards your heels, and then we're just going to reach our arms forward. Bring your forehead down. So for the child's pose, you can choose to do a more relaxed child's pose or a more kind of active child's pose. So the more relaxed child's pose, you might have your forearms down as well as your forehead. If you want to be more active, maybe you straighten the arms. Just a little bit longer, but just settling in. So using this time to kind of just come back to your breath. Whenever you're in your poses for Yin Yoga, there's a few things you want to do. So one of the first things you want to do is notice where you're feeling the stretch in your body, so physically. Each pose has a few different target areas. So for a child's pose, it's mainly targeting the inner legs, a little bit of the hips. It should feel good for your back, and also stretching the arms and the shoulders. And then once you kind of notice in your body where you're feeling the stretch, you want to find your edge. So you want to make sure you're not being too relaxed. You're still being somewhat active, but then allow those muscles to relax. Try not to be tense. So relaxing into the pose, just letting kind of the gravity do the work of the pose. And then once you're there, you want to try to find some stillness. So stillness being in your body and also in your mind. So that's when you can just use your breath as a tool to come back to. From here, you can take your time. We're just going to add a variation. So lift your forehead up, walk your hands back just a little bit. We're going to come to thread the needle variation. So you're going to take that right hand underneath the left arm, bring the right shoulder down. You can bring the forehead down, or if you want to go deeper, bring that right cheek down. Option to keep the left arm just forward, or you can take the left hand behind the lower back. Kind of helps draw that shoulder down and back. About halfway. So moving slow in Yin Yoga, taking your time with each pose, maybe pause in the center, and then we'll set up for the other side, taking that other hand underneath the armpit, bringing that shoulder down, so it's coming in towards you and down. Forehead can come down, or the left cheek all the way down. Option to take that right hand behind your lower back, drawing that right shoulder down and back. And then from here, take your right hand back down, press yourself up. Good. Just pause in the center, walk your hands back. We're going to bring our knees closer together. So counter stretch, you can just sit back, interlace the hands behind your back, drawing the shoulders down and back. Option to stay here, or you can come forward, bringing the top of your head down, lifting the arms and the shoulders, the hips up more. So either variation, the main thing you want to draw those shoulders down and back for a few breaths is a counter stretch. Good. And then from here, we're going to make our way to a seat, and we're going to set up for a seated forward fold. So in Yin Yoga, they kind of rename the poses. So instead of seated forward fold, it's called caterpillar pose. So they have their own name. One thing you can do, so an option is you can take your blanket and you can roll it kind of skinny, like skinny blades, and place it underneath your knee. And you may just use it maybe just to start, and then if you don't like it, you move it off to the side. So it's just another option, especially if you have tight hamstrings. All right, so from here, we're kind of keeping the knees a little relaxed, relaxing the feet, and then just start to walk your hands forward. All right, so taking your time to make your way forward, and take a moment here, find your edge. So your edge is going to be different in Yin Yoga. So if we were doing kind of a vinyasa style, we'd have our feet flexed and we'd be more active. Here we're relaxed because we're holding it for more than a minute. We're going to hold it for about 4 minutes. Allow your shoulders to relax, your back to round, feet are relaxed, and find your edge from there. You want to make sure you're feeling a good stretch, so mainly it's targeting the hamstring muscles, but you may feel it in other parts of your body. But you're not kind of pressing it, so you're not yanking, you're not pulling yourself down, you're just allowing gravity to do the work over time. It is a lot of kind of rounding of the back, so if you kind of feel a little bit too much strain at any time, you can still keep the same leg stretch by keeping your chest lifted and kind of straightening that back, hinging more from the hips. Is just kind of an option as well. Coming back to your breath. And you can take the opportunity to kind of use this time as a type of meditation. So meditation, one of the, right now during this time, we really want to keep our immune system strong. One of the things that I was just kind of watching a show today, one of the worst things for weakening your immune system is stress. And one thing that can kind of help with that is kind of like a meditation. It releases all sorts of like chemicals in your body that build up the immune system. And it allows your body that time to kind of heal and repair, whether it's mentally or physically or both. So just kind of embracing this time to just kind of be. We're still, we're trying to get a good stretch, but we're allowing our muscles, we're allowing our body to just release, repair as we're stretching. And you want to check in ever so often during the stretch and just notice if you can go deeper. As we hold the pose longer, our body should just naturally start to be more flexible, and we should be able to go a little bit further as we hold it longer. We'll take about 2 to 3 more deep breaths in the pose. And then you can slowly start to make your way out, just really nice and slow. So walking your hands back, maybe pausing at the top, allowing your back to straighten. If you're using the blanket, you can just move it to the side. We'll bend our knees, and we're just going to kind of windshield wiper our knees side to side just to kind of release any tension you might have in the back, kind of finding some movement. And then as a counter stretch to our forward fold, we'll do a reverse tabletop. So heels in towards you, hands behind your back. Lift the hips up. Maybe let your head drop back. Holding it here about 5 breaths. And then you can make your way back down. All right. So we're going to set up the blanket again as extra padding for our knees. So we're setting up for a low lunge, which is called dragon pose in Yin Yoga. Very cool. All right. So you're setting the blanket, towards the back half of the mat, knees on the blanket, and then we'll take the right foot forward. And to set up, you want to kind of take your time. So you want to check that the front knee is right over the ankle. So what we don't want to do is bring the knee forward. That stretches too much the calf, or you don't want to bring it back, just right over the ankle. But then lift the back knee up. See if it can go back a little bit further, because you do want a long space between the front heel and that back knee. All right, good. So you can start out with your fingertips, either on beside your foot, on either side of your foot, or you can take the hand up to the knee and lengthen your back. So either way is fine. The focus of the stretch, the target, is the legs, the inner thighs, and the hips. So if you have your body, your torso lifted, it might feel better for your back. Did they wave? They're really nice. Those guys always, yeah, the port police. Yeah, they're cool. They generally say hi. But if you prefer, you can have the fingertips down too. So it's really just a preference where you want to place your hands. But the main thing is, if your hands are down, you don't want your head to round down too much. You want to try to keep that spine in line. Allow the muscles to just release into the pose. From here, we're going to come to a variation. So it's going to be your choice. If you want to stretch more of the hip muscle, it's going to be lizard pose. If you want to stretch more of the hamstring, it'll be half splits. So for the half splits, you'd walk your hands back, straightening the knee. For the lizard, you'd walk your foot over to the side, placing both hands inside, stretching more of that hip, maybe coming down lower. If neither of those works for you, you're going to find another stretch that's going to feel better, that's going to help you. So either one, so it can be, yeah, that one's perfect. So kind of taking that option, just seeing what your body needs. If you want to stretch more underneath the leg, the hamstring, or the hip. Almost everyone wants to do the hamstrings. Well, I guess it's kind of 50-50. About 2 or 3 more breaths here. And then you can take your time to make your way out of the pose. We're going to come into a downward facing dog. Or you can even just do hands and knees, cat-cow pose. But just kind of stretching it out a little bit. Finding any movement. And then we'll make our way back down. And we'll take a brief child's pose before we set up for the other side. So just sitting back towards your heels, reach forward, take a few breaths here. So it's important in Yin Yoga sometimes that you take a little bit of time between the poses to allow the tissues of the muscles to just kind of restore before moving on. And then when you're ready, we'll set up for the other side. So bringing that other foot forward, starting out in the dragon pose, the low lunge. And checking at your front knees over top of the ankle, seeing if that back knee can go back further. Setting yourself up, either fingertips on either side of the foot or bringing the hands to the knees, finding your balance up here. And just depending, so also there's options. So if you want, you can sink more into that front hip, but sometimes it might feel better for your back to be up a little bit straighter. So just kind of seeing what feels better. The target area for the stretch being the legs and the hip. And then from here, you're going to take the same variation you did on the other side, whether it's the half splits pose, stretching the hamstring, or if it's more of the lizard pose, stretching the hip, or it could even be another variation, like a seated pose here, stretching the hamstring. Coming back to your breath. About 2 or 3 more breaths here. And then slowly making your way out of the pose. So taking your time to make your way out. We'll just stretch it out. So downward facing dog is a good counter stretch to stretch up the legs, the arms, shoulder. Or you can stay in a cat-cow pose, kind of stretching out the spine. Good. And then from here, coming back onto your hands and knees. So we're just going to set our blankets to the side. And we're going to make our way up to standing. So grab a drink of water. You need water. It's one of our few Yin Yoga poses that we do standing. We're just making sure we're safe, I guess. Yeah. All right. So let's just stretch it out here before we even come into our yin pose. So let's just inhale, reach up, nice and tall, just extended mountain pose, holding it here a few breaths, just feeling that nice long stretch. It's actually pretty sunset, so I'm going to take a picture. Good. And then we're just going to do a nice side oblique stretch, so you can interlace your hands and point your fingers up, stretching up and over to the right side. So hips kind of just stay centered over your feet as you reach, kind of stretching out the sides of your body. Good. A little bit further. And then back through to the center. Inhale, exhale, up and over to the other side. A little bit further. Good. We're going to reach up again and then maybe back for about 30 more breaths. Little back bend. We're looking up towards the sky. Take your time to make your way up. All right. From here, we're just going to do a ragdoll forward fold. So that's our next Yin Yoga pose. So feet about hips distance apart. Nice bend in the knees, and you're just going to make your way down. So this is a very relaxed stretch. You want to bring your stomach kind of towards your upper thighs, Keep that bend in your knees. If you want, you can grab the elbows for a part of the time or the whole time. Relax your head and neck. So make sure you just shake your head yes and no just to make sure it's relaxed. It's just hanging there. Maybe you sway a little bit side to side. Feel that nice stretch in the back of your legs, your hamstring muscles. Right, this is also a good anti-aging pose because our head's upside down is kind of reversing, I guess, our skin muscles to go up instead of down. The muscles in our face or the skin on our face. And if you want to get a little bit deeper into the pose, you're going to lift up more through your hips. Maybe straighten the knees just a little bit, but you want to keep them soft. Send your body weight a little bit forward just so you're not sitting back in the heels. From here, we're just going to heel toe our feet out wider. We're setting up for yogi squat. So your feet are going to be about the width of the mat, kind of at a diagonal. From here, you can bring your hips down, coming to the yogi squat, or kind of come into a halfway point where your hands are inside the knees, kind of staying up a little bit higher. All right, so you can hold here. Another option is to do more of a squat up here. This goddess pose is another option. Working perfect, keeping the chest lifted. So this counter stretch, because your spine is straight. So we're going to try to hold it. Right now we're 30 seconds. We don't hold this one quite as long, but we're going to try to hold it for 1 minute. After 1 minute, option to come to a child's pose, or you can try to hold it 1 minute more. But this is more of an intense stretch, so we don't hold it quite as long. Deep breath. Feeling that nice stretch in the inner legs, finding length in your back. All right, so it's been about 1 minute. You can either stay here or make your way into a child's pose at any point. We'll take about 3 more deep breaths. And then take your time to make your way out, coming onto your hands and knees, stretching it out. So stretching one leg long in the back and then the other. And we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow pose just to stretch out our spine before we go to the next pose. So just on your inhale, drop your belly, lift your tailbone, look up. And on your exhale, rounding your back, rounding your spine. Going through this about 3 or 4 more times, just moving at your own pace. One more round of cat-cow. All right, good. So from here, take a drink of water. We're going to set up our blankets for puppy pose or melted heart pose to stretch our upper body. So your blankets are going to be extra padding for your knees again towards the middle or back half of your mat. We'll start out on our hands and knees, and I'll show you some variations you can do in this pose. The main target's going to be your upper body, upper back, arms, shoulders. So hips over, top of the knees, stretching the arms forward, bringing the forehead down. Variations to make it a little bit less intense for the arms, the shoulders, upper back is to sit back more towards a child's pose. Other variation for your arms is you can allow the elbows to come down, coming into kind of like a prayer pose here. Or if you want to go deeper, you could even bring the chin down if it doesn't strain your neck too much. So maybe kind of trying the different variations, just the normal one, just your forehead down and the arms forward. And maybe try coming to those prayer fingers and just noticing if that feels good, if you like it. Relaxing the muscles in the arms, the shoulders, the upper back. Just letting the pose do the work. About 2 more deep breaths. And then moving nice and slow, start to walk your hands back or walking your forearms back. We'll come to a counter stretch. So counter stretch, bringing the knees together, hands behind your back, forehead down, so child's pose variation. Or just again, allowing, you can do it seated position, allowing the shoulders to release and come down and back. Okay, and then you can make your way up to a seat. We'll just set our blankets to the side. Maybe take one more drink of water, and then we'll make our way onto our back. All right. So coming onto our back, we're going to stretch out the hips and the glutes. Figure 4 stretch. So you can take the right ankle. Well, actually, let's just hug both knees into the chest to start with. And just kind of move in a few little circles, massaging your lower back onto the mat. So maybe like 3 or 4 circles in one direction, 3 or 4 circles in the other direction. And then from here, we'll make our way into the figure 4 stretch. So taking the right ankle above the knee, option to stay here with that left foot down, right knee out to the side, if you already feel the stretch here. If you want to go deeper, you're going to lift that left foot up, interlacing your hand behind the left thigh, keeping your head relaxed down. Another option is to even interlace the hands on top of that left knee. You want to energetically press that right knee out to the side. And then as you kind of, the energy just presses it out to the side, you start to feel that stretch more in your right hip and your right glutes. If you want, rolling the ankles out a few times. So an option from here is to straighten that left leg up towards the sky, staying in the figure 4, but just also stretching out the hamstrings a little bit more. Yeah, just as an option. You're still in that figure 4, so you're still stretching the hips and the glutes, but maybe just adding on that hamstring stretch. Hands can stay behind that left thigh, or you could, if you want to go a little bit deeper, reach your hands up towards the calf or the ankle, if that feels good. One or two more deep breaths. And then take your time. Make your way back down. We're just going to stretch it out in between. Reach your arms up overhead. Straighten your legs. Just take a nice long stretch. And then we'll set up for the figure 4 on the other side. So opposite ankle above the knee. Option, you can keep that right foot down if you already feel a good stretch in the left glute, the left hip. Or you can bring that right foot up, interlacing your hands behind the right thigh, or even possibly on top of that right knee, but keeping your head relaxed down. Energetically pressing that left knee back, coming back to your breath. Take care, okay? Just say hi to the pups. Yeah. Later. Hi, baby. Take care. Okay. From here, option, well, you want to stay in that figure 4, but option to straighten the right leg up towards the sky. Either keeping your hands interlaced behind the right thigh, or you can walk the hands up towards the calf, maybe the ankles, going a little bit further. About 2 or 3 more breaths. And then you can bend that knee, release, We'll stretch it out long again, reaching your arms up overhead, straightening your legs. You can hug your knees in towards your chest. We're just going to finish with a little twist. So dropping both knees over towards the right side. Just staying here for between 5 and 10 breaths. And when you're ready, bringing the knees back through to the center. And you're going to drop both knees over to the other side. Good. And then you can come back through to the center and just slowly push yourself up to a seat. So we're going to set up for our Shavasana, so our final relaxation pose. So option to set up your towel or blanket to use for Shavasana. And it's just an option, so you can try it. And then if you don't like it, you can remove it. So we're going to set it kind of like a skinny way. So a little skinny roll. It doesn't need to be as long as mine is. But I'll show you basically what we're going to do is you're going to place it along your spine. So it's going to start kind of at your lower back. And you can even rest your head on it, or your head can come down and relax into your Shavasana. So your feet will be out, hips distance apart, maybe palms relaxed out by the side. And basically just having this kind of rolled up under your spine kind of allows your shoulders to release a little bit more, your chest to kind of open up and expand. But if it feels weird or uncomfortable, you can just kind of push it off to the side, or maybe just have it for a few breaths and then move it off to the side. So from here, just allow, get out any last minute movement, any last minute fidgeting, so that you can come to a place of stillness. Allow your body to release, to relax into the Shavasana. Allowing yourself this time to not have to do anything. Relaxation, just healing and release of your body, your mind. If you have any tension in particular in any spot in your body, using your mind to consciously release that spot, relax it. Our mind has a lot of power to heal our body. And then from here, take a nice deep inhale in through your nose. Complete exhale. One more time, nice deep inhale. Complete exhale. Start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Maybe rolling out your wrists, rolling out your ankles a few times. And then you can bend your knees, reach your arms up overhead. And taking your time to roll onto one side and just pausing there for 2 to 3 breaths. And then when you're ready, slowly making your way all the way up to a seat. And we'll just finish by bringing our hands to our heart center. Take one more deep breath, reaching our arms out and up one more time. Bringing our hands back down to our heart center, good. And just take a moment to pause here. Maybe just reflect on your practice. Thank yourself for coming out tonight. Just allowing the positive energy that you feel from class to be a benefit to yourself and the people around you throughout the evening and throughout the day tomorrow. Namaste. All right, very good. Let's relax.